You're on.
Okay, thank you. It's 6 o'clock, folks, so we'll start the meeting. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Rutland Select Board meeting. This is April 13th, 2021, and we have in attendance John Paul Faignant, Sharon Russell, Joe DiNardo, and Don Chaffee. So welcome, Select Board. And we're going to start. We've also got some guests who are waiting and we'd like to hear from. We got a full schedule, so let's just get started. Just a reminder, the orders are in here for payroll and for bills for the departments. So please, Select Board members, as you come by, please come in, sign and approve those orders, please. We'll start with the minutes of the Select Board meeting for March 30th. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Are there any additions, corrections, deletions? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, you've approved the minutes. Thank you. Now, this is the time when we see if there is anyone participating in the meeting who is not otherwise on the agenda. Is there anyone who wishes to be heard who isn't on the agenda? Doesn't look that way. So we're going to go down to new business item A, the board to meet with the town representatives to Rutland Free Library. So I'd like to welcome Ed Ogerzalik and Anita Dutch. And I don't know if you've worked out between the two of you who's going to speak first, but thanks for coming. And can you give us an update about the library and what might be going on with it?
Sure. Anita, you want me to start? Is that okay?
That's fine.
So basically, to update you in terms of where the library stands, I'm getting a little feedback. I don't know if you guys
Yeah,
are.
so anyone who isn't speaking, please.
Well, I can keep going.
Better keep going.
Okay, so just to confirm, so that on March 11th, the Heartland Corporation, Stuart Mills, who's the senior person there, basically said that we were no longer welcome to join their development on the CSJ campus, citing concerns that we would be used as a lever to slow down the Act 250 process. So, so the CSJ piece and the contract that they're trying to negotiate with Heritage Family, which is the owner of the property there at CSJ, has been extended through June 30th. So basically, Heartland has until June 30th to decide. Although, excuse me, they've moved up the date several times already. So whether or not June 30th will be the date, or what exactly is holding up the progress, I'm not sure. But essentially, right now, there is no plans whatsoever in place for the library to move. There's been some discussion that we've had at the board, but basically, we are not. Nothing is really anywhere near a project that's ready to even begin to be discussed.
Okay, Anita, anything to add?
No, we're basically in limbo right now.
So a question for the two of you, without a move to a new facility, what if any plans are there for rehabilitation and work on the existing building?
Well, I mean, I know that it's an 1858 building, so it's got its shares of issues. Honestly, I believe that Randall Smathers, the director, has still at least been looking to see if there's another building that the library may be able to move to, because the feeling, at least based on some of the contractors that Randall has met with, is that it might cost more to fix some of the things that are currently in need of repair, rather than try to just move to a new building and rehabilitate it a little bit less costly. The library does have some money to be able to do some of that, so it's not like the plan is to not pass any of this cost on to the towns. That's not at all part of the issue. The issue is really to try to come up with a property that would be something that the public could really use and enjoy, and as well as not be a burden to anybody in terms of the extra cost. Did you want to add anything to Anita?
Yes, several years ago, the Board of Trustees, had discussed putting forth a request for a bond from the city to do rehabilitation on that building. We had to pull back on that because a bond issue was put forth for repairing the city streets. And so we decided we'd better bide our time. And fortunately, this opportunity to go to CSJ came up. Unfortunately, it's now going away. But if a bond came up for the city, that's the city's business. That has nothing to do with the town. The town's contribution is for the day-to-day running of the facility, for purchasing new items, for paying salaries and that kind of thing. And it's in a comparative ratio to what the city has in population. But in the meantime, when the AC breaks down, we have to do those repairs, that kind of thing. So we're just keeping it in condition so that we can use it and use it safely.
I mean, the attractive part of the CSJ campus was the fact that the library there had just been recently renovated by the college, so that and they have a very modern building with a very nice children's area, and it seemed to hit all the areas that a lot of people have said that the current library could use, but it doesn't look like, at least in the near future, that's going to happen.
I have to tell you that I was not fully on board with the idea of moving to CSJ until I was afforded the opportunity to see it. And when the door opened, I said, wow, this looks like a library. I still hope that some miracle will happen and we will be able to move over there, because I just thought it was a phenomenal facility. And what we had negotiated, the price was right. I don't see it ever happening for that.
So I'm going to see if there are any questions from any of the select board members.
I have quite a few. Since I was the one that asked for the representatives to come in and speak to us. I'm very concerned about the fact that neither one of our representatives had come to us long before this to let us know that this planning was going on. And it's pretty obvious to me anyway that in order to accumulate the amount of money that the library has somewhere in its possession, that they had to be sequestering this money out of some funds. And I would assume that the town must have contributed to that, since we put in $96,000, $95,000 in this year. And I don't think anyone in the town ever knew that they were amassing a sum of money for a purchase.
Well, let them answer that, Don, because I think
Yeah.
I'll pose that as a question to them. Where did the money come from?
Well, the money has, I mean, the savings that Randall has begun to try to either be able to do some major refurbishments of the current space or move to another space has gone on for quite a long time, long before I ever joined the board. So from my perspective, I mean, the financial statements, just as an aside, are public information. So if that's anything anybody would like to see, I mean, I can even forward a copy, but it's on the balance sheet of the library. They do have over $1 million worth of cash or investments and it's actually mostly just in short-term investments because they don't want to lose anything because of the pending potential to buy something. But so yes, they do have the wherewithal to be able to pay for a new building, well, within reason, but that's gone on for years, long before I was even there. I don't know, Anita, do you have any other further background?
I can give you some. A big one, before you joined, Ed, and early in my term, we paid a lawyer because actually I was the one in Finance Committee who said, Nella Fox left us an endowment, and it was for books and materials and programs. And I raised the issue that back in her day, books, periodicals, everything was on paper. Today we have computers and tapes and all these other fancy things. So we actually consulted a lawyer who said that, yes, because of progress, that books on tape, books on CD, that kind of thing, can be considered reading material. So we found a place where we could use more of those restricted funds and abide by her will. And so, and also we found out that we would be able to be labor involved in logging in the new acquisitions and covering them with protective covers and processing them, that labor of bringing them in, those hours could be part of the restricted funds. So that's where we found we were able to use more for money. And the other, in excess of what was used, was invested prudently, with the idea that it would grow, and eventually when we grew out of that building, that would help pay for it. But I hope that answers the question.
Well, no, it doesn't actually. You know, I appreciate your answer, but it doesn't jive with what we were told. And I understand that you have financial statements and so forth, but you know, library business is actually, for most townspeople, at town meeting or any other time, pretty dull and boring thing. I mean, you go to the library and you use it and that's it. But the reports that are made to the town in the annual report are pretty much what the town gets for information. And there's like, well, historically, there's about 6 to 10 people that go to a town meeting. Now that we've got digital here, we had a little bit of an increase, but still, out of 4,000 people, we don't have very many that are interested in financial reports. But the annual reports that were made by the library to the town of Rutland, historically, and I'm going back a ways, Anita, probably before your time and definitely before Ed's, back when we were at an assessment of $25,000, $30,000, $35,000. And when it started to escalate quite significantly, we were told that it was because major repairs had to be made and costs were going up, and that they needed to do this. And they also needed an increase so that they could keep staff on, and they were worried about having to make staff cuts and hourly cuts and so forth. So it was kind of a mea culpa to the town, and the request significantly rose to the point where they went from 35,000 right up now to just under $100,000 a year. That's a lot of money. We were never told. Well, no, let me finish. We were never told, ever told in an annual report by any library representative that any of that money was being sequestered in order to make a purchase of another building. And when the administrators of the library they're crying because the building is in disrepair or needs major maintenance, and they had the money to do the maintenance, but instead of doing that, they invested it in this fund to be able to buy another building, does not seem very
I have
forthcoming to the town of Rutland.
Okay, I'm going to treat that as a question too. Anita?
I have to disagree with that.
Well, I figured you would.
No, the reason is we have been maintaining it. We have been spending the money to fix the Fox room, to make improvements to the acoustics in it. We also put in cost efficient lighting. We totally redid the Fox room. That was all that money came from, the contributions and whatnot. But the maintenance we're talking about now are to make a safe children's area. Well, we're outgrowing that building. Okay, here's an example. I'll give you an example. There was a patron who had a medical situation out of sight of any library employee, and it just happened that another patron went by and saw this person in distress and alerted the staff, so that the staff was then able to get help for this person. Because there are so many nooks and crannies that are not visible to the employees, to the staff there, so that they can see what's going on. So a big thing is a safety issue. The CSJ site had huge lines of sight, and there were some ideas for making some modifications to increase that. So that is one thing, and it's very expensive to modify a building like that. We talked about the cost, about getting more area by going up to the 3rd floor. The cost of that is astronomical. Being compliant with
ADA.
ADA, thank you. To have a elevator to the 3rd floor, astronomical cost. We were in the process actually, and had made a deposit on raising the height of the banisters in that main entry going up to the 2nd floor because they were too low. And we actually, never moved on it because we didn't know what was going to happen.
Well,
And
might I just
Could I just-
interject to ask a question, Mary, because it's related to what Anita's talking about right now.
Don, it occurs to me that we could spend, another hour going over this.
Well, maybe we should.
Well, possibly, but we also have other folks and other town business that we must get to tonight.
Well, this is
So here's-
$96,000 of the town's money, Mary, and I have questions I want to
excuse me,
ask, and I
Don,
don't like to be
excuse me.
shut off.
I'm not
I
shutting
don't
you
like
off. I'm
to be
trying to
stifled.
ask you to do the following. I would like, if we could, to have you express your questions, have Ed and Anita pull whatever information they can together, for example, the financial reports, provide that to the board, and then we will schedule a time after we've all seen the reports, and to come back in and schedule maybe an hour-long meeting, perhaps prior to a select board. I don't wish to cut you off. I don't wish to cut off any questions that are related to this, but this also can't take over the whole meeting because we have other issues to get to.
I
So,
appreciate that. I appreciate that, Mary. And so let me bring them up and so that she can deal with that.
Okay.
I'd like to know which contractors were requested to make estimates on the repairs to the present library. I'd like to know if the contractor that built the building that they plan to go into, which is the College of St. Joseph, and the contractor that did the renovation that changed that from a gym into a library, was asked to make any bids on the repair to the present library. Since that building, obviously, both she and Ed find quite attractive to be used as a library, obviously that contractor must have done a pretty good job. So I'd like to know whether that contractor was asked to make an estimate on the repairs to the present building. And I'd also like to know when the Library Association decided that they would take whatever kinds of money, instead of putting them into the repairs that they say need to be done, they put them into funds to purchase another building, because that is obviously a decision that was made, that the town was not told that they were intending to buy another building and relocate. And I really, really, really think that the townspeople should have a much, much greater say in this whole issue. And I've talked to a number of townspeople that are upset about this, and they're very, yeah,
Okay.
anyway, so that's what I'd like to.
Anita, hold on, Anita, if you would, please. Are there any other select board members who would like to pose some questions so that Anita and Ed can do research and get back to us?
Can I just add one other quick thing?
Briefly, yeah.
So in all the time that I have not been at the board as long as Anita, like Anita said, but there has never been any discussion about moving or buying a new building the entire time that I was there, until there was a suggestion made that somebody who was familiar with the CSJ property, after they had been closed for a while, that they have a very nice library there. And that's what started the discussion. That happened fairly recently. So prior to that, and I don't know if you have a date on that, Anita, but that's a fairly recent thing. This has not been something that the library has been planning for years and just waiting to move someplace. No, the main reason for developing the money is because of the cost of renovating that third floor and all the additional issues that come with an old building. So
Okay. Thank you, Ed. Now let's get back to JP. Do you have any questions that these folks can research for us?
I'm all set.
Okay. Sharon, do you have any questions?
No, but I think some of Don's are really, he touched on some things that I would have asked, I have to say. I think we owe it to the people of the town to find out some of this stuff. I don't know how the rest of it.
Well, I think that's what the purpose of setting another meeting to discuss this would be.
Yeah. Yep.
Joe, do you have any other questions?
No, I think the questions that Don asked are pretty much the pertinent ones, the stuff that we need to know. The only suggestion I would make is, and we don't really have any policy in place for anybody that serves on any board, whether it's the ambulance service, the library, or any of the other things out there, for these folks to get back to us. And I think that there should be more communication between our representatives to the library and any other organization out there on a regular basis. Come into a board meeting, ask for a little time, and let us know. I didn't like finding out about this move, either however we did, through the paper or through Scuttlebutt or whatever. I think that should have come from our two representatives when it was first hatched, so everybody would know. But that's the only, comment I'll make.
Okay, I would have a question, and that is the source of the money that was available to purchase CSJ property. And Don has raised the issue of, did it come from our town appropriations, or was there some other source, such as endowments and some of the other things that gifts to the library and grants over the years? So Ed and Anita, do you think you can pull the information together and be back with us in, say, a month?
I would just request that these questions be sent in an email.
What's going to happen is that Bill Sweet is going to be putting them into the minutes of this meeting. So Bill will get you the minutes or get you a link to the minutes.
Okay.
Okay. So is a month appropriate?
I think so. What do you
Okay.
think, Anita?
Yeah, that should work.
Okay, very good. So Bill, if you could schedule a month from now to have let's do a pre-meeting, and instead of meeting the select board at 6, we'll convene at 5 instead. And we'll hear the answers to these questions, we hope. And then at 6, we'll go into our regular select board meeting. And if we find we need more time, then we'll discuss then how much more time and for what purpose. Okay?
Yep, got it all.
All right. So thank you all. And thanks to our representatives to the library board. We've given you some homework, so have a good time with that.
Thank you.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah.
There were several Zoom meetings the library had. The first one was in December, and there were a couple others, and there were multiple dates where we had open house at CSJ for people to come and see it. And we went through the whole process and the discussion of how we would utilize the space. How many select board members attended one of those?
Well, I took the tour. My daughter and I went over and took the tour. And I also was on I think it was 2.5 hour long Zoom meeting fairly recently. I don't remember how many, but I did a couple. Yeah.
And Anita, I had been to the library at St. Joe's. I am an alumni of St. Joe's.
Okay, so let's move on now to other business.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. We do have 2 other visitors tonight. Ed Square is here, and is Brian Reed here as well? Well,
I didn't see him. Ed is here,
Ed is here.
but I did not see Mr. Reed.
Okay. You'll recall that under old business, we have tabled from December a motion on the guardrail at the intersection of Post Road and Post Road Extension. There was some discussion at our last board meeting about just taking care of the issue, but I reminded folks that Ed Squira had weighed in, and we'd like to hear from him before we make any final decision on that. So, Joe, I think this was your motion.
Yeah, it was. I had made the motion that we not put the guardrail there based on information from state professionals who strongly recommend we don't do it because we're just, putting a barrier that could cause serious injury to the motoring public. I think we've done what's necessary with the signage, and that's our responsibility to that point. So that was what I wanted to get about.
Okay. Ed, we've put up Byron put up the signs and revamped the signage there. And you've been a person living right there close by. What are your observations? Has the signage worked?
He's on mute and he said he had trouble with that last time,
I remember last time. Yeah.
but he's
Oh, here he is.
There he
Okay.
is.
Go ahead, Ed. Ed, we can't hear you, so you might have unmuted yourself on Zoom. Have you unmuted yourself on your computer?
Or
Okay, well, we're not picking it up. So if you could, well, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to have Bill send you an email. Let's bring this back up at the end of the meeting, and we'll pass over this for now and see if we can get Ed connected, perhaps by phone, if we can't do it by Zoom meeting. Okay. All right. So let's go through. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to be heard on anything that's not on our agenda? Okay. We're going to move on through. Bill Sweet, Town Administrative Assistant to the Select Board.
good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. So for board members, we have your packet items. We have the current meeting schedule and committee agenda items sent out to everybody, and that is up to date. Just on the calendar, I won't be in the office on Thursday and Friday this week, but I'll be here all day tomorrow. So if anybody needs me, I will not be here Thursday and Friday. Number 2 is from Byron. It's the proposed agreement with the railroad for the tree cutting work between the cemetery and the rail line next to the office here. He talked about this at the last meeting and provided the agreement for tonight.
Okay. We'll hold on that until Byron's up.
Okay. And yes, I'm sorry, that's new business C. New business D is the proposed request for proposal for the pocket park. We need to input some dates, and that's under new business, and I believe Barbara has some input for that as well.
Okay, we'll take that up when Barbara's up. Go ahead.
For under new business E, this is the memorandum of understanding with the retired senior volunteer program that was put here at your request.
Yeah, this is the retired senior volunteers had been assisting with putting together the circle, as in folding and taping and putting labels on. Of course, with pandemic, that hasn't occurred in the past year. Things are loosening up, and hopefully maybe in the fall, we will be ready to bring in the senior volunteers again to help out with that. So I wanted folks to see the contract, the MOU, and authorize probably me to sign on behalf of the town, so that when the circle starts up in the fall, we still got a couple of additions in the spring, but they will be done without the RSVP folks. But in the fall, we'll be ready to go with the RSVP volunteers, and they're a great bunch. They've really done outstanding work. So any questions about the form, or I'll entertain a motion to fill it out and file it with them.
So moved.
Motion's made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion or questions?
Mary, is this similar to what we've done in the past?
Yeah,
Okay.
their only role is to basically sit here in the selectman's office and put the circle together. And I think water and donuts are provided. So, yeah, in case you want to join in.
Well, they end up with pastries and all sorts of good stuff. It's a good time.
Okay. So if there's no further discussion, all in favor of authorizing, I guess me on behalf of the select board to fill out and file our request, the MOU for RSVP. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, Bill, what's next?
All right. Next is number 5 is from the building committee, and number 6 is from water and sewer. So do you want to go over those when you go over the minutes for those later?
Sure.
Okay. Number 7, we got the annual maintenance reminder from Johnson Energy. That's the postcard that you have in the office, in the boardroom there, Mary, but that's the option for annual oil maintenance that we do every year.
Do we need to authorize that then?
We usually do, yeah.
Okay, and I believe Johnson Energy is a preferred vendor.
Yes.
Okay, so this is just a little card, and we're to fill it out and indicate we want them to do the annual service on our, looks like boiler, our furnace, hot water heaters, and what else?
We just have them do the boiler.
We just have them do the boiler, okay. Do we know what the cost usually is?
It's $150.
Okay, there it is, 150. Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded. Okay, all in favor of renewing Johnson Energy for the boiler servicing, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Abstain. Abstain.
Okay, JP abstained.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
I see Ed Squira has his hand up, so we're going to try again in a minute, but Bill, let's get through your part first.
Okay, yep. Number 8 is also for Byron. That's the paving contract. And number 9 is from Kari, just the updated budget status sheets. So she's not going to be here tonight, so I do have one topic that I'll get to here in a minute from her. So that's everything for the packet, and the remaining stuff is going to be covered later on. So some other topics. I have ordered and I have now some asset tag labels for different things. We've been acquiring some new infrastructure, and some of it is very mobile. So it would allow us to put stickers on things that will say, property of town of Rutland, and identify it. So if any department head has an item that they would like a tag for, I can make that for them. And I have a little log that I've started for it, but this is going to include things like our laptops and some other equipment that is more portable now than we've had in the past. So just allow us to keep track of it a little bit easier.
Okay, good idea. Thank you, Bill.
I have had for the safety grant that I brought up a couple meetings ago. I have a quote from the fire department for some items, but no other departments have come in with anything that they want to put in yet for. So if they are the only ones, I want to get this just submitted, and so we can get it done. So I will want to do this by next week. So if anybody's got anything they want to include, if you can get it to me by next week, then I will include it with our grant to send along. The latest round of sewer allocation overage letters have gone out. Those are the users from 2020 that exceeded their allocation. I've sent letters to those users, and I've started to get a couple phone calls on them already. So no action be taken yet, but we should be getting some applications to review for those.
Good.
I also have, so on the utility building side of it, I was talking with Howard and some other towns about using NEMRIC to record utility billing, specifically for water and sewer. We have a system right now that takes 4 people to get the billing done. If we switched to using NEMRIC, it would eliminate the need. It would eliminate 2 people from the process. So I would ask that we go ahead and purchase the module. This would allow us to much more effectively do the billing for Flory Heights, and if we do end up taking back responsibility from the city, that would allow us to pick that right up and fold that right into that. I've talked with a couple of people from NEMRIC, specifically one of them that created the module, and he is very passionate about his module. He likes it very, very much. And the cost of it is just under $3,000. But we could take it from the sewer fund, which has more than enough to cover that. But the creation of the data, he said, would take him about 2 hours in total, and he could have the module up and running for us. And we expect the new bills for Flory Heights to be ready for next week. So this would line up very well with having those next round of bills be ready to go.
Okay, this was something that was raised at the Water and Sewer Committee meeting. Joe, any thoughts? You were there. Don, you were there.
I think anything we can do, Mary, to make this system work. And I will say my usual statement that I have done now for 5 years and a month. Water and sewer is the biggest snafu that we have to deal with in town. So anything that'll make that smoother, I'm all in favor.
Okay.
I concur with Joey on that.
Okay. You're going to hear a little bit later that that Bill and I did have a conversation with Kevin Brown about getting some additional information from the city. So we'll update you on that without going into too many details. But so I will treat Joe's comment as a motion in favor of buying the module from NEMRIC for $3,000. And Don, is it okay if I treat that as a second?
I will.
All right. Any further discussion?
One question for Bill.
Yep.
Either way we go, Bill, either way we go with this will make the system work pretty much. You know, we talked about a couple of different directions. This should handle it either way, right?
This will handle any of the scenarios we talked about.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay, you've got a motion before you. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor of purchasing the NEMRIC module, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right. So the only other topic I have comes from Kari. She this afternoon met with a representative from a company that does digital land records, and spent a while talking with him about what they can do for us. Their initial proposal seems to be more comprehensive and less expensive than ones we've heard in the past. So those are positives. She said she would have more information available at the next meeting, but that the town of Mendon just started this, just signed a contract with them very recently. So she's going to go up and spend some time with them too, looking at their system, but that this is a very worthwhile endeavor. And certainly if we do get these funds that are anticipated, could be that could be used certainly for related to the COVID issue. So she's going to report on that next time at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to try again with Ed Squira. You have your hand raised, so are you able to hear us and speak?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to try to just do this on a computer. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, Ed, if you can mute or turn down the volume on your computer, I think that's where the echo is coming from. If you're on your cell phone and on your computer, we're getting a little echo. So if you just turn down the volume on your computer, that should take care of it.
Okay. How does it sound now? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. And you went by that.
I can't hear.
No,
I can't hear him either.
no, he just his cell phone just disconnected. That's where his audio is coming from.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll wait till he reconnects and move on. Barbara Noyes-Pulling, Town Planning Commission.
Hi there.
Hi, Barbara.
You can hear
Hi,
me?
Barb.
Yes.
Okay. So if you don't mind going back to that RFP or that bid for invitations, this is for the planning grant that we have for the Pocket Park. And it's for a survey of the land there, the parcel. The survey would help with the design, and it could also help with discussions with GMP about an MOU or anything you want to go in that direction. So I pulled this together. We can change anything. I did notice that in writing the grant, I probably didn't put enough in for a land survey in such a complicated area as what we're looking at, with all of the structures there, and quite a few land conditions too, with the river and the hills and the woods, all that. So I'm suggesting that we go out to bid for 2 different bids. One for just determining the property lines and property owners, and then the other one with that and locating all utilities and structures and all of the land conditions. And get 2 bids from everyone that's interested and just see what matches our budget best. And then I had a question about who to send this to. We could send it to preferred vendors. There's 4 engineering firms that are pretty much local and have lots of experience with these land surveys. There are also, Byron uses some online sites to just, put the message out there that we're looking for bids. And I'm not sure how many we usually get from that. But we could go either one of those routes as well. So yeah, I turn that over to you.
Okay, thanks. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the invitation to bid, and then we'll deal with where it should be posted.
So move.
Motion's made. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Mary.
Thank you. Notice on page 3, the town of Rutland reserves the right to accept or reject any or all bids. So we're asking for bids. We're not committing until we see what they are.
Yeah. Do we have to modify this a little bit to Barb's point of asking for the work to be separated? I think it's going to have to be just that's going to have to be put in here, isn't it?
It's scope of work on page 2. The town of Rutland is requesting 2 separate bids for this project, one for the boundaries survey and one for the boundary survey that includes natural and physical structure.
So all right. So it's all clear to everybody. Okay. I missed that part when I was reading it.
Okay. Any other comments? If not, all in favor of the invitation to bid as drafted, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so,
Mary,
yes, now on the issue of where to post it, right?
yeah, I might have to change some of the dates on there too, because I wrote that a couple weeks ago.
Okay, all right. So let's see, Joe, you have no problem if some dates are changed?
No, no, that'll be fine. That's
And Sharon,
not a big deal.
okay,
If you're okay with
No.
that, Barbara and I can work out the dates and line it up with meeting times and everything.
okay, very good. So Byron uses a site, I think, in the state system that allows us to post something like this, and contractors and, you know, surveying companies frequently check that.
He gave
Unless
me
we
two,
want to, yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mary, he gave me two sites, construction summary and works in progress are the names of the sites.
I would just as soon advertise this pretty broadly, unless anybody has a problem with that.
No, that's fine. You might as well get it out there and see who's out there. Put it on our website or Facebook. You know, Billy's got a good handle on that. And once people know where to look, they'll start looking for this stuff. And I think we should be good.
Okay. So I don't know as we need a vote on that. Just post it broadly, please. We need some good bids. Okay, that takes care of that. Anything else, Barbara?
Well, I was just going to briefly report back. We had the Vermont Transportation Board had speak to the Town Planning Commission about the helicopter landings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and airstrips, John Zacconi. So yeah, he reiterated that across the state, they get a couple applications per year on this. And they look to the municipality first. The board looks to the municipality for guidance first. So it's best to have something in place, because if you don't have any kind of regulation, you could try town plan language, but that's not as strong, but it's also an option. But if there's nothing on the books or on paper, they just assume that the municipality is in agreement with whatever proposal for an application is for one of these landing pads. So then it goes to the state and to this board, and they decide. So he also didn't have any examples in Vermont for language, especially for a town without zoning. So we're going to have to cast a wider net there and look out of state for some language or some inspiration or something. But we'll do that, and we'll get back to you on some suggestions.
Okay,
With some suggestions.
very good.
Mary, I have a question on that.
Yep.
So unless we have something in our plan or in writing or an ordinance, if somebody wanted to, or a state agency wants to have a helicopter landing pad in Rutland town, they could do that. I mean, I'm not sure what the downside of this is. I'm not sure why we would want to regulate this. Number one, if they're looking for emergency landing sites, they're going to land at the hospital, because that's where they land now. And if they're looking for a one-time use, they're going to land wherever they need to land and pick up a patient and leave. So I'm not sure what drives this, what we're concerned with here.
What he is suggesting is that we look into something that would help us when there is an application for a private use of,
Okay.
Of a helicopter pad or airstrip that might end up in someone's backyard or near their backyard. So yes, there's little we can.
Barb, there's two places right now that I know of currently that use helicopters. One is Velco and one is Green Mountain Power, and they've been landing helicopters there for years. So if, those are the only two. So if somebody wanted to start a crop dusting business and have a helicopter in their backyard, I'm not sure. You know, if that's something I want to do and I put it out in my lower meadow, it's not really going to, I don't know if we're concerned. We're not a really populated area, but maybe in some, you know, it wouldn't fit, I guess, in a highly residential area. You wouldn't want a helicopter coming in and out of some of our developed sites all the time. But is that what they're trying to regulate?
Yeah, I think that's what his warning is that they've been getting some applications for very residential type
Yeah.
landing
Okay.
areas.
Barbara,
right.
you may be surprised to learn that there's property transfers that are taking place or have taken place or about to take place that involve the kind of wherewithal where it might be entirely possible that somebody would want a helicopter pad there, and it is in a residential area, so that could be a concern.
Right.
And it's not too far from either Joey or me. So
Well, I'm sensing that it's okay that Barbara and the Planning Commission proceed with gathering information about a possible, I guess it would be either a standalone ordinance or more likely an amendment to the town plan to give guidance should something like this occur. It would go through the process and start with coming back to us so we know what the Planning Commission is thinking.
that would
Okay.
be wise. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
All
I
right.
understand it better now what they're looking for and what they're, you know, when you talk helicopters, I'm thinking, you know, a rescue helicopter, not a private helicopter, but Barb
Right.
kind of cleared that.
Okay. Anything else, Barbara?
That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Mike Rowe, Town Recreation Director. Happy spring, Mike.
You as well. I'm hoping I don't cut out in 5 seconds, Bill. This is kind of when you usually press the button and nobody hears me. So if you're all playing the game, go ahead. Just a couple things. The parks are getting their opening work. I'm doing the work up at Northwood, and Chuck is back doing the work at Dewey, and we are getting the cleanup process underway. And it's great to have beautiful weather this early to get a lot done. Baseball is on the docket, obviously following all of the guidelines. We've had some really encouraging signups. People want to get out. We have a couple of great coaches. We've already met together as far as rec directors and figured it all out. So hopefully that's going to go nice and smoothly, but obviously we will follow whatever the lovely governor wants us to do. Other than that, the next step would be probably the conversation to the pool. The cover's coming off probably about 2 weeks, and I'll start the process of getting that ready so that, you know, summer's really coming when the pool cover comes off. So if you drive by or walking by, it's good to go. Other than that, we had a committee meeting. Sharon or Joe can bring that up. Just gave a couple of topics for discussion and to think about for the future. Sharon or Joe, step in anytime.
Well,
Yeah,
That's all I have.
do you want to do it now or do you want to wait till committee reports? Because we've got a number of them.
Well, I'd kind of like to do it now so that Mike can step in and just fill you in. I think
Okay,
that's
so we
an-
won't cut them off just yet. All right.
So, would you talk to them about the maintenance, that you're going to be doing the maintenance and
Okay.
explain?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I spoke last year I did the maintenance last year up at Northwood, and I'm going to continue to do that with your approval. And basically I will just take a maintenance salary, like I tried to pass off. What was it, Joe? Bi-weekly, or whatever.
Yeah,
it
you
was.
wanted to get paid twice a week, and I
There we
said
go.
twice a month.
And Joe almost agreed to it. So I will do that up until I do my summer pool stuff. And then back when the pool is closed, back in the fall, I will kick back on to being the maintenance, being paid maintenance wise out of that salary. So with your blessing and approval, that is how we will continue. I enjoy doing it. I have time to do it. So that is where we're at with that.
Okay.
Yeah, that worked
so-
fine last year.
Yep.
We did it this way last year, but so I thought it was fine to just continue.
Okay. Do we need a motion? We've got it all budgeted for, right?
Yeah, it's just me doing it. That's all. I
Okay,
don't think you
Yeah,
need
I
any
think
kind
this
of
is
motion.
just, I think it's just advisory, Mary, as to how we're doing it.
okay.
Yep. Just so everybody
Yep.
knows, call me if you got any problems at Northwood. Anything else, Sharon, that you want me to mention? I think I pretty much covered
Yeah.
everything that was important.
The removal of the sumac and the new trail that will go
Yep.
down.
Yep, we're taking care of the sumac. That is, if you're standing at the tennis courts facing south, we're gonna have the, what's called a brontosaurus come in and bring all that down and then clear down towards the pool, all of the nasty sumac. And then, we will have a plan to maintain so that it doesn't come back.
Okay,
I did speak with the adjacent landowner, and they are in full support. So I did go ahead and reach out to them to make sure that they were okay with that. Even though it is on our property, I still thought it was advisable to talk to them. So they are in favor of that, and that will happen in the next couple of weeks. And that, I think, is all I really have, unless you have something for me.
The only other thing that we did discuss was, well, we talked a couple of things. One was the 4th of July and how we're going to handle folks coming to watch the fireworks. And then as this COVID thing and the number of people and masks and who you can have and what. So some things we're going to have to make some decisions going forward, and, you know, how, you know, how many people you can have, who and where. And Mike's just going to stay on top of that and work with JP and whatever recommendations the governor passes on. So just stuff that's out there that he's right on top of all of that.
good.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
Joey, the one thing is the John Deere tractor. If you remember, JP, we had said we would keep the tractor for this year. And Joey made a suggestion, which I think is a good one, that at the end of the year, like, you know, August, September, even into October, that might be when we might look at purchasing one, because they go down in price. And instead of using our tractor as a trade-in, because you don't get what you should get, that we might consider letting the people of town know if anybody is interested in buying it.
Just,
So it's
Sharon, just a
something-
quick correction, Sharon, it's the zero-turn mower and not the John Deere tractor. The John Deere
Oh, okay.
zero-turn. Yeah, they're a
Okay.
little different. Yeah,
Okay, all right.
Okay, so
but that's just,
keep
that's
us
just a heads
informed
up,
on
Mary, as
that.
to what's coming. Yeah, that's what's coming down the road.
Okay, thank you much. Mike, is the main loop dry enough to walk?
Yeah, my wife went on it the other day, said it was great. I haven't ventured down there since it was snow, but I see people all the time, and I'm asking, you know, how I have my usual Marianne Goulet gives me the ring. If there's a problem on the trail, she walks it regularly. And so I have not heard from her, though I have seen her a bunch of times and I get the thumbs up. So I'm assuming it's all good to go. There's, you know, we've done a lot of work over the years, so I wouldn't consider it being muddy, though I'm sure there might be one or two spots where there's snow still in there, tucked in that ravine. But other than that, no, people are out and they are moving around. So
Great,
everything is good
thank
to
you very
go.
much. Okay, Byron Hathaway, Town Road Commissioner.
Good evening, Mary.
Good evening.
Everything I have for you tonight has probably been put in your packet. That railroad request form just needs to be signed by the board, and then I can email that back to Montpelier. We did open Gleason Road bids. The committee will have that report for you. I'm abstaining from any decision there. The paving contract is the same contract we used for Stratton Road culvert. Just names, dates, and the attachment, which is the specifications for the job, are different, but it's the same VLCT standardized contract.
Okay, well, let's start with the work in the railroad right-of-way and the flagging agreement with Vermont Railway. This is for work that the town wants to do to clear some trees near the cemetery out here by the town office, correct?
That's correct, in order to make room for a new fence to be put in.
Okay. Very a pretty simple agreement. It does make us responsible for the cost of the flagger at, is it $95 an hour, minimum of 4 hours? Did I see that?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and looks like it is to, I don't see, there's a, oh, yeah. Signature line for the town contractor. Yes, there is one for, we're called the contractor in this.
That's right.
So I will entertain a motion to approve the flagging services agreement. And if you would please authorize me to sign on behalf of the town.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Byron, this will probably take place after July 1st because that's when that new maintenance money would come into play. Is that your plan?
Actually, I was hoping that as soon as they could get that approved through Montpelier and set up with the railroad to get them done before those trees get leaved out too much.
Okay. All right.
They're box elder and they get pretty heavy once they get
Yeah.
all leaved out.
All right. Okay, well, I think that what we've been doing in the past, any maintenance on that cemetery has been coming out of the town office building money, and the maintenance for that, I think that's where we've paid for the lawn mowing and stuff. So we can probably cover that cost from there. I didn't ask you that when we talked about stuff at our highway meeting, what your schedule was. I should have asked you then, but I think we can make that work.
I was supposed to have met with a Mr. Bushy. We had a plan set up. He was supposed to look that over and determine in his mind whether actually a flagger was really needed there or not. And we had a 1 o'clock time set up. I was there at a little before 1 and waited till nearly 1:30 and nobody showed up.
Okay.
So,
All right, well, we can sign it and move forward. If we don't need it, we'll be all set.
right. Yep.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, the motion to approve the flagging contract is before you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. All right, so let's go to,
And there's the paving contract.
yeah, let's do the paving contract next.
That's just the standardized contract. I will send that down to Tommy Fuller. I mentioned it to him early on. He said he didn't have any problem with that at all. He said many towns now are using that standardized contract for paving. He seemed to be familiar with it.
Okay, and this is one we've used ourselves.
Yes, we used it last year for 2 years ago for Stratton Road.
Okay, and this requires all of the select board to sign. Is there a motion to accept?
So move.
Motion's made. Is there a second?
Okay.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Just a reminder, this is the paving contract with Fuller Sand and Gravel. They were the low bidders. And the list of roads to be paved is attached to it.
I will add to that, Mary, that contract was vetted by Kevin Brown a couple of years ago before we used it on Stratton Road, and there were 2 minor changes that we incorporated into that. I think JP might be familiar with what those changes were, but they were just small minor things that had to do with some technical aspect of some legality that I'm not now that familiar with, but it's in there, whatever it was.
Okay. If you're ready for the question, the motion is to approve the contract with Fuller. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay. And what is next? Is this where we go to the highway committee?
Probably. I can give you a little update on the shared use path. The packet that will be sent to Terry Purcell with the stormwater guy with the state is almost ready to go out. That will come to me, and then I will bring it to the board for your ultimate review before it's sent into the state. And
Okay.
the other question I had was, got a notification today that the bike ped grants are now open and are due June 1st, the 1st or June 4th, one or the other. Do we want to apply for that, knowing that full well that if we get that grant for the post road sidewalk, it will be well into another budget year before we actually get grant agreements and all that stuff done and actually get that out to bid for an engineer?
I think we want to apply.
If we don't get accepted there, then we have a second chance around September for the transportation enhancement grant
Okay.
for that same project.
Byron, do we have enough stuff now to make, I know in the past we haven't had everything they wanted. Do we have enough stuff now to make them happy, you think?
I don't know. I thought I would reach out to John Kaplan and ask him.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. But I don't think it hurts to apply because the worst they're going to do is turn us down.
Right.
Yeah, they're very competitive grants. There's only $3 million there, and usually there's a lot more applications than there is money. So it doesn't hurt to apply.
Okay.
All right.
So please do. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Sure.
As
As far as the safety grants are concerned, the new truck that we will be getting later this fall will have a backup camera on it, and that is partially reimbursable through that safety grant.
There is, yep.
But until the truck is in and the truck is built, I won't have any invoice or anything of the sort to give you for that. I don't even know what how much additional cost it is there for that.
It should be on, did you get a quote for the truck, like a detailed price list for the truck?
Yeah, but it's in there, but not as a separate item. It's just included.
Okay.
I can reach out to my vendor and see if I can't get something for that.
So Chuck, yeah, see if he can give us a price on it, and then we can put it on there and send it in along with it. Yep.
Okay. Very good.
okay. So Byron, as long as you're there, I think we've got Ed Squira now on the phone.
Okay.
And we've got the issue of the post road guardrail.
Okay,
So-
can you folks hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, all right. So Joey went by something there real quick. Is that just to table it until I get hearing, or did we go through and decide that the table motion to put the guardrails up is now gone to what's been done up there?
I'm not sure I understand the question, but there was when you cut out, we didn't go any further with discussion on that.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
As I recall, the motion that was made back in December, and correct me if I'm wrong, everyone, was to do both signs and the guardrail at that time. Am I right on that, or was?
Yes.
If you give me
Okay.
just a second, I can look it up.
Okay.
I believe you are right, Mary. And it was that motion that prompted us through Byron to get more information about putting the guardrail there. And it was the email sent to Byron, and I don't know the gentleman's name, but Byron knows those details, and that email is on record that it would not be advisable to put the guardrail there because of the danger to the motoring public.
Okay. So Ed, what have been your observations since the signs have been up?
Well, we've only had them up for 4 months.
Right.
And prior to that, we had two accidents there. within a month and a half. So, I mean, you know, we didn't have that much snow after that first snow where the last person went through. You made the suggestion that something about the sign the signage should be enough. I mean, what do you folks feel? And I can't see how that could be a dangerous situation, to tell you the truth, because I can't see a speed that somebody would be traveling at that part of the road where the guardrails would be bad. And I also think that I haven't put a transit on it, but you've got about a well over 6 foot drop from the top of that road down into my property. So, I mean, I think that's probably as dangerous, but I do want to thank Byron and everyone for putting some signs up there. I still would like to say, and I asked you, Mary, when was that road paved?
Post Road.
Yep. When was it last paved?
Well, more than 10 years ago.
Okay. And we paved over the stop bar and the stop sign up there.
Yeah, as soon as the weather permits, we will put a new stop bar in there.
Okay. I mean, that would be a great approach, and I would thank you for that. And how about if we do it this way? Who's paying for my fence, by the way? That's been gone through twice, and I have to replace.
Insurance company from the person that caused the accident. If there's no insurance there, you're on your own.
Well, why am I on my own? I mean, obviously, if
You're on your own because the fence is yours, Ed, and the town doesn't have any responsibility. If the town had responsibility, I've got 200 feet of fence down by my mobile home here that a car and the wrecker crew took down, and I'm not asking the town to pay for it because I know my responsibilities. It's somebody goes off the road with a vehicle, if you catch them, they're liable. If you don't catch them, then you put your fence up. I mean, this is owning property in Vermont, and towns don't put fences up. And it's not our responsibility to keep cars on the highway, because if it was, the town would be broke fixing personal property. It just doesn't happen that way.
Okay, Joe, let me just back you up. I've lived in this place for 40 years. Okay.
And I've lived here for 67. So nothing you're going to tell me is going to change my mind or make me back up or do anything. The fence is yours. It's up there at your expense. If you can get a car and you catch them and they're there, their insurance should pay for it. If not, you're going to be on your own. And it's not up to the town to try to protect your fence with a guardrail that's going to endanger somebody's life. This is what the engineer, the people that talked to Byron, sent the email, told us. Guardrails are not designed to be hit head on. They're designed for a glancing blow on the sides of the road. You read the email, you know what was said. So it's not going to change anything. And because I defer to the expertise of somebody that went to school and this is what they do for a living and not somebody else's opinion, what should be there. That's why I made the motion that we do not put the guardrail up and we move forward with this. And we could beat this to death all night, but there's nothing you're going to do that's going to change my mind. It's just not going to happen.
You all done, Joe?
I'm all done.
Okay.
Okay, Ed,
All right. Well, what's that?
go ahead.
Well, I didn't really ask you to pay for it. I said, who's going to pay for it? I think that I'm going to have to pay for it because the two people that went through it decided to leave before they could.
Ed, Ed, can I make a
Sharon, just a minute, let Ed speak, okay? And then you can
Okay,
go.
so I didn't really say
Whatever.
that. Okay. I didn't really say that, Joey, but you have to realize too, that the town has to have some ownership to some of these things. Now, that intersection up there, the last road commissioner we had put 3 signs up there. And I have asked Byron right now, every year, so if it hasn't been paved in 10 years, which I thought it was more like 7, but I'm okay with that. So every year I ask them, and I asked them just recently, before the accidents, to pay the stop bar up there. I think if it's done, I think that will help with the signage. But I also, okay, if you ever looked at your taxes, Joe, after the 67 years you've been living here, okay, it does state on there that we're paying for the highway and for paying for police protection. So right now we've put 3 signs up. Okay, we've taken 2 down, actually 3 down before, which didn't help matters any up there. Now we put 3 signs down, we cut branches off, we put signage across the road, and now you say it's working. Well, if it's working, why did it take all of this to get it there? Why do we take all the signs down? And I don't care who answers that. I mean, you can live here for 100 years, but why are we taking signs down on a dangerous intersection? And there's more cars and trucks off that road than any other intersection probably in the town.
So I think what you're referring to, Ed, you've talked with me about this, are the approach signs to that intersection?
I've asked ever since that was paved over. I've asked Byron to paint it in you. Okay.
At the bar. Yeah.
Yeah, paint the bar and stop so people can see it and know where they're stopping. I invite anyone.
I have one. Ed, I just got to have a question in here, Ed. If you paint a white line across the road, how is that going to be any more beneficial than a stop sign that's up to the proper height and whatever? If you can't see the stop sign and know you got to stop, what is the stop bar going to do?
Joe, let me just say this to you. The next time you go through Rutland City and go through a stop sign over there, take a look at the street in front of you. Okay? Every street in Rutland City has a stop bar and a stop sign. Okay? Now, you're talking about dangerous intersections and things like this. You don't want somebody getting killed up there. So why should we hesitate and not put something up there? Probably 90-some% of the time with the roads that we plow in this town, you could see a stop bar. It's winter or whatever. You get snow, it's plowed up. Our contractors do a good job of plowing the snow up. It's clear, you can see it. All right? Now, that road you come out and you take for granted, okay? The problem is people, you got the signage, but they're looking ahead of themselves. That stop sign that we have right now does nothing over there. The sign that's on here right now does nothing. That the signs, the reflectors and things that I put on across the road, I think is probably one of the best things. But why wasn't that done when you pulled the stop sign down that was across the road right in the front? We took 2 signs down that were stop signs. There were 3 stop signs up there. Doc Fish put them up there, and there was less accidents up there. But when I approach a gentleman like Byron and I say, hey, when are we going to paint that back in? And nothing gets done. Okay, this has been 10 years since that road, and I've gone to him every year. And ask By, you can tell. Didn't I stop by and see you there before the winter, sometime in October, and I asked you, can you paint a white sign up there? All right, I mean, I look ahead, okay, and I know to stop there, but I'll invite any one of you to sit in my kitchen, at my kitchen table, and look at that intersection, and I will bet you that more than half the people don't stop or don't make a complete stop at an intersection.
Stop bar isn't going to change it.
Okay, Sharon, you had wanted to say something.
No,
Sharon?
don't worry about it. No, thank you.
Okay. So it sounds like Byron said earlier he would be painting the bar on the road, on the pavement. So that's one of the things that you requested. The signs with the reflectors are up, and is there anything else short? No, we're with the guardrail, not yet. Any other signage that you feel is appropriate to put there?
Well, I don't know if there is, because I don't look at the law books, like whether signs are legal and not illegal. Okay, illegal or illegal. But what I'm going to say is the same thing you're saying. You want to go with it, we'll go with it. Okay? But if we come down to re-talking about this stuff, how would you feel about guardrails?
Well, the motion is still tabled. Nobody's made a motion to do anything with it right now.
If you feel, this is the way I feel about it. I don't mind going up there and putting my fence. I shouldn't say I don't mind. I'm going to have to. All right, if that's the case. And as Joey said, he's been here for 67 years and Vermont's been the same, and I'm fine with that. All right, I'll put the fence up. But what are we going to do if somebody else goes through the fence and I can't catch them?
You put the fence back up again, just like I do. It's what it is. I got a question for you, Ed. Do you know what the purpose of the stop bar is at an intersection? Do you know why they're painted there?
Why don't you tell me, Joe?
No, I want you were the one that's making the statement that Byron needs to put it there, but do you know what the stop bar is for?
Well, I'll tell you, because it's a place you need to stop.
That is where, right. If you travel, we'll use Rutland City for an example. You come up to a traffic light and there's a stop bar. The traffic light is probably across the intersection, and I'm going to use Route 7 and Route 4 by CVS. The traffic lights are way away from it. The stop bar is where traffic is supposed to stop. And if I'm not mistaken, when you have a stop sign, usually the stop bar is right with the stop sign, and that tells you where you're supposed to stop, and you're not supposed to go back to sign. The reason the stop signs that were across the road were not properly done is because if you follow the letter of the law, that means the person driving can drive to that stop sign and then stop. Now you're crossways in the intersection. That's why Byron had to take those down. You're not supposed to go by the stop sign, and the stop signs are supposed to be located so that when you stop at the sign, and if the bar is painted or not, you can see traffic coming both ways. The problem with that intersection, the problem with every intersection, is the motoring public doesn't care. If there isn't a police car sitting there 24/7, 9 out of 10 cars are not going to stop. They're going to roll up to that intersection. Nobody's coming, and they're going to go. You drive all over. You know what I'm talking about. Only time that people pay attention to the rules is when there's somebody there that's going to enforce them. So we have done, and we are doing what the and Byron knows the municipal handbook on how this signage and intersections are regulated, and we are following that pretty much to the letter. The stop bar is just going to give a visual thing painted in the road that the motoring public should stop to. Next time you're at the intersection of Route 4 East and Route 7, you see how many cars stop at the stop bar or how many creep all the way down to the intersection so they can go. You will find the stop bar will have minimal effect on traffic control. It's up to the individual driving to pay attention and do it, and people just don't care. We're not going to solve this with signs or guardrails or anything else. People just generally don't care.
Okay, well, we've now heard, I think, from everyone who wishes to.
Yeah, I'd like to say one other thing. Okay?
One other thing.
What it does, may I? I'm kind of interrupting you.
Go ahead.
I think the stop bar, Joe, just to answer your question, it'll stop the people who are creeping up from going into the traffic lane of the road. Okay. In other words, the people that are going east on that road, I think it will stop them from going out into that point. All right. And Joe, I see it every day, and I'm not asking for much. All right. And I think you ought to put the stop bars, the same thing on Easy Street and all the way down, because we don't have any. All right. Any little thing that's going to stop a person, you talk about how safety is so paramount. And you're talking to me about, hey, why do you need the stop bar? Why should we even be having that conversation? Why not put it there? If safety is paramount, Joe, then put the damn thing there.
Well,
how much does it take?
I think Byron has
how
said
much
that he
does it
will
take?
put it there. So we're debating over something that's going to happen.
Mary, I don't want to belabor this anymore, but we're not talking about. Well, but we're not talking about accidents in the intersection where somebody's creeping into Post Road and getting hit. We're talking about cars going through the intersection, over the bank, and taking out the fence. They are two completely separate items. There probably are some accidents there where people are getting hit, but that doesn't take the fence out. They're going to
Okay.
be stopped in the road, but anyway.
Just
I'm
as a
done.
reminder, it's still tabled under old business until it's taken up off the table. We can move on. We can let Byron put the bar in, as he said he's going to. And we'll see if there's any additional thing, and the motion can stay tabled until, sometime after the bar is painted in.
Mary, could I
Sure,
Don,
Don, go
enter this
ahead.
a little bit? I just, well, for one thing, it certainly doesn't seem to me like painting a line ought to be a very hard thing to do. Certainly it isn't very expensive, and if it'll help, then we should do it. I'm thinking of the Crescent Street intersection where the control by the stoplight. There's a couple of driveways on the east side of the road. So the stop bar is painted back a considerable distance more than normal from that stoplight so that people could enter and exit those driveways. Respectful drivers stop at the bar. There's always those that don't. So you're not going to control them, but you have to try. And I think a white line is probably the cheapest way to try. But I understand what people are saying about putting the guardrail there, but I don't understand. What I don't understand is every single time I've seen guardrails, whether it's state or county roads, they seem to be put on curves where vehicles, if they're going to, especially if they would go over the bank, if there's an embankment, there could be a serious injury. And that's why they're put there. Now, I understand what you're saying about those cars coming from the east, coming straight into that intersection would go straight through it. That might be a danger to put them there. But what about the cars that are going north-south, curved and going over on Post Road Extension? If they were to encounter snow or ice or whatever as they're on a curve, the guardrail would stop them from going over the bank, and that's why it would be put there. So I can see both sides. I can see both sides of the argument depending on which direction the vehicles are coming from.
Yeah.
And I don't have any horse in the game. I don't know whether we had a similar situation, I think, back when the car went into Lenny Monturi's house, and we were talking about whether we would put barricades. And I think the suggestion to him was that he had large rocks if he wanted to put them on his property back away from the road right away, that he was perfectly capable and legally allowed to do that. So just wanted to.
Yeah, thank you, Don. Byron, it occurs to me that Don didn't see the exchange of emails from the state, that because he wasn't on the board at the time. So if you would please send him those.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, I think it's probably time to move on, folks.
Yeah, can I ask you this one question?
Well, I think we've beaten this horse for the time being. There's no motion to take this matter off the table, so we need to move on, okay? And as before, if we pick it up again, we'll try and include you in the conversation. All right, moving on back to our agenda, Chris Clark, the town fire chief, is not available this evening. Ed Dumas, town police chief.
Hold on, Mary. Mike Carlson's here in place of Chris.
Oh, sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Hey, no problem, Mary. Good to hear you tonight. Just to update, we did get together last week, and it was great to see all the guys and girls back at the stations. Of course, we're following all the COVID precautions. And just an update on calls. Since the first of this month, we've been on 15 calls for service. 9 of those have been in the last 5 or 6 days, so we've had a busy month so far. Time of year, I guess, getting busy. So just a quick update for you.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for your service. We appreciate everyone's effort out there.
Great deal. Thanks, Mary.
Okay. Chief Dumas.
Yes, good evening, everybody. First off, the calls for service the last period of time, we had 32 in Valcourt. I did not get that to you folks soon enough. I apologize, been a little busy. Next time I'll try to get there, but I did email to you. And you can see the usual complaints. We're quite busy at the Green Mountain Plaza. The other item I'd like to ask the select board about is to authorize, we're having somebody look at the cruiser we're trying to sell tomorrow. And like, rather than get a price, wait 2 weeks, come to you, I'd like just permission to go ahead and have authorization to sell the cruiser tomorrow if that should happen. That covers the cost of the radios and stuff we bought for the new cruiser that's coming in. I guess that would be a motion, Mary, or an ask.
Okay. Is anyone willing to make the motion to sell the cruiser? Do you have any amount in mind? Is there a below which we shall not go figure?
Well, we're going to ask 7,000. We'll see what we can get.
And I think this was the cruiser that there was a police department in Colorado that was really interested in.
And that fell through, yes.
And what we actually spent and to purchase Officer Sly's equipment was $5,000.
Yes,
Okay, so you're looking to cover that cost.
yes.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Joe. Is there a second? Is there a second? The motion's going to fail without a second.
I seconded it.
Okay, sorry, JP, I didn't hear you. Thank you. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion to sell the cruiser to cover the cost of the radio, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, there you go, Chief.
Thank you. One other thing, because of the increased activity in the Green Mountain Plaza area and the number of complaints for retail thefts we've gotten down there, I took it upon myself to go to the area businesses in the south end of the town, speak to the managers, and see how things are going. I should step back a little bit. Prior to that, I reached out to Commander Sheldon with the Rutland City Police, who's in charge of Project Vision now, to see if they had anything that they were working on, because they're suffering from the same issues we are in that section of town, mainly based on two dwelling places. And there's going to be the Quality Inn and the Holiday Inn is where our problems are stemming from, I believe. So based on that, I went to Project Vision. They had also reached out and they had some work on some stuff because they've had 2 murders at the Quality Inn in recent months, which is an issue for them. So with that in mind, I tasked the businesses to give us a impact statement on what's happening in their individual businesses. They're all quite interested in doing that. Hannaford's especially. I've had, they've all had something to say, and because of it, they've also set up a meeting for the 20th of April at 2:00, a Zoom meeting that we're working on that. They've asked, I forwarded the email to Mary. They've asked that the mayor's going to speak, the chief of police to the city will speak. I think there's some in charge of DCF because they're the ones that have the money for economic services to help these folks out. And then each of the businesses want to say something about the impact it's having on their businesses down in the town of Rutland. So hopefully something will happen with that. I just want to give you a heads up, and they have asked that Mary, being the chairperson, have something to say also. So I'll keep Mary in the loop if you guys are all good with that. Any questions?
Okay. And I believe Chief Dumas is including our delegation to the state senate. So we will have
Correct,
our politicians helping us out there, we hope.
hopefully.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
All right, John Paul Faignant, Town Health Officer.
So we continue to wait the revised guidelines from the governor. Really kind of that we're shooting for July for return to normal. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. In the meantime, my term as health officer needs to be addressed. It's up for renewal.
Yeah, I think Bill looked this up. When is your term up? Do you know, or
August.
August? Okay. Do you want to wait a little or renew you now, JP?
Whatever the board's pleasure.
Let's get the paperwork necessary, Bill, and put it in the packet for, sometime the next meeting or so, okay?
No problem.
Good, thank you. You still want to do this, JP?
Sure, I'll do it again for another term.
Okay. All right, anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay, thanks. Committee meeting updates. We'll start with building committee. Looks like you have a few things for us to go over. Who's reporting for the building committee?
Well, any of us could do it, either myself or Don.
I
Or
think
Billy.
Bill was gonna do that.
Okay. So they've delegated to you, Bill.
All right. So we. We'll grab my paperwork. So we met on the 2nd and had a very good meeting and covered quite a few of the topics that we had. So we talked about the maintenance plans for the cemetery next door. We talked about the trees and some work that we're going to do with the Vermont Old Cemetery Association after July to do some cleanup work and some restoration to some of the stones over there. They are also going, Byron also has talked with some representatives from state, I believe, archaeological, who are going to be bringing some ground penetrating radar equipment down to help us see if we can locate any sites that are not marked. So that will be an interesting evolution out there. We also talked about the 5-year plan. Spent a while on that. The War Memorial was the first topic. We want to get working on forming a committee to move the project forward and keep it top of mind. We don't have a direction for it right now, but we want to form a committee for this to keep it going. And then several names during the meeting came up to talk about, and I believe Don was going to reach out to some people, and so we can start working on this. We talked about some of the project lists for the building. So in your packets,
So let me stop you before on forming the committee. Can we put something, a box or something on the town website and maybe the Facebook page asking folks who may be interested in serving on this committee to make themselves known to Bill or any select board member? I do know that Chris Kiefer Chaffee, a former select board member, was interested in working on this at one time, so.
Yep, I do remember that. So I was going to reach out to her.
Okay.
So yes, absolutely, we can advertise that.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so we talked about several projects around the building that have been on the list to get done. So in your packets, number 5 has a variety of items in there that we talked about. So I think the first one maybe, is it SimQuest is the first one on there for number 5?
Yes.
Okay, so this is, what we'd like to do is replace a printer that's at Susan's desk right now. We are currently spending about between $400 and $500 a year on supplies for this printer. If we go with a agreement through SimQuest, we would be able to actually cut our expenses almost in half with that. So the committee discussed that and was going to recommend the 4-year contract at $25 a month, and that includes the supplies that we're currently paying for.
And I would make that motion.
Motion's made to accept the 48-month contract with SimQuest. Is there a second?
That's going to be just for you to sign, Mary. There's one space to sign.
I'll second it, Mary.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. And as part of that, are you folks also authorizing me to sign?
Yes, I have. My second will.
Okay.
If Don's motion does.
A question that I have is this, does this include the use of the printer and any maintenance is on them?
Yes, so
Correct.
down toward the bottom, it says that
There it is.
monthly maintenance plan includes monitoring, toner, parts, labor, travel, all that good stuff. Just
Okay.
like it's the same vendor we use for the copiers.
Yes.
And I did double check. We have adjusted some things already, but this is actually the state bid price for this as well. So we do, since we qualify for state bidding, I made sure this and our copiers are part of the state bid pricing.
Okay. Right, any further discussion? If not, all in favor of entering into the contract with SimQuest, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you.
All right. The next should be the from Racine's Painting and Sealing. That's next. Just going down the list in the packet to make it a little bit easier. I asked for a quote from them for a couple things that are related to other projects that are in this list and some other ones that are coming up. So in this list, we have the LED lighting upgrade to the rest of the offices and a price to get the wall-mounted air conditioning unit in the Lister's office removed and the sheetrock patched and the siding repaired. So after that was done, we need to get the wall repainted. But also if we replace the LED fixtures, then taking the lights down is going to have some ugly patches around the ceiling where there's lights now. So this bid is to do the painting. If those other projects are approved, this could get done. And as part of that, he would also fix the painting in the select board room from where the curtain infrastructure was taken down, all those little brown spots all the way around. He's going to do those too.
So we should probably do the other
So yes,
contract proposals
we
first.
could do the other ones first. Yep.
Okay.
So for the LED lighting, you have 3 quotes that I had. All 3 contract. I requested 5. I had 5 vendors come out. 3 people gave me a quote. Everybody was here to look at the project. We have one from Rob Stubbins for $9,000. Long Trail Electric for $3,450 and Slate Valley Electric for $6,150, not including $360 in rebates for the fixtures. So after discussion, the committee was going to recommend accepting Long Trail Electric.
So is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Does this include any rebates?
This includes the rebates, yes.
Okay. This is a huge difference between the bids.
It's a huge difference, and
Yeah.
We noticed that.
I've been expanding my circle for finding electricians because they're harder to get people to work, and they're out of Pulteney, where they've been very, very nice. So,
Okay.
yep.
All right. All right. You ready for the motion? If so, all in favor of entering into a contract with Lawn Trail Electrical Contractors for $3,420, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. Would someone like to make a motion to authorize me to sign?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All right. The next topic on the list was the water line in the office that runs from the water meter to the first branch. Near the kitchen downstairs, we found that it's a galvanized water pipe, which we're reasonably sure dates back to the original installation. And it runs past and over 3 critical infrastructure pieces of the building downstairs. And so I had Jim Manley, who does work for us in Floyer Heights as well, come and gave us a price for $895 to replace the water line. We're going to come up with a new route that doesn't put it in other things in jeopardy. So that would be to replace it with a copper line, and that would come from the building maintenance fund.
Okay, is there a motion?
I move to approve.
Second it.
Mary, do we have a contract, Bill, that requires somebody to sign?
No, that's what I gave you is what he gave me. He just needs us to say, go ahead. So.
Okay, all right. So I would have moved that we approve that amount.
So that's Jim Manley for $895.
Yes.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay. Thank you.
Okay. The next thing on the committee list we talked about was the repair of the parking lot here at the office, getting cracks filled, the entire parking lot resealed, and then the lines repainted. So far, I've only been able to get one vendor come out to give me a price. So we're going to hold off until I can get some more pricing from various people. They've also they were waiting, so I'm hopefully I can get them out here soon. We talked about rekeying the doors in the office here. We have 7 interior doors. We have 7 keys, 1 for each door, and it's a lot to keep track of. So we've got a bid from 2 different vendors to replace them with a master key system. We're gonna hold off until closer to the end of the fiscal year to see what we have left, since there's not an immediate need for this. So we're gonna wait and see if we can do that later on. Digitizing land records came up, and we just talked about that earlier. So there's more that's already updated since then. Talked about purchasing additional furniture from the office from Vermont Correctional Industries, a 2-seat bench, 2 single chairs, and a round table for the hallway. So that way we would remove the, I guess, random chairs we have out there and replace them with some new furniture that would match the other furniture we purchased from them. There would be the seats would be cloth, and I have some options here. And if it's approved, I was going to task Kari and Susan with picking one that they like for the office, and probably I'll include Marcia in that too. We'll let them pick that because I'm not good at that part of it. So we'll let them pick what they want for that. And also a couple additional lateral filing cabinets. That would be for my office to replace the metal ones. They're much better for storage and take up less space. So we have the prices for that. I'm not sure if they're working right now. We've been trying to get a hold of them on another thing and haven't been able to. So I'm not sure they're working right now, but if we can get that approved, at least we can try to move that along.
This also includes laminating the countertops.
Oh, yes.
For the,
Yes, it does. Yep, we were gonna have them take the countertops that the researchers are using, that since they've been installed have already sustained some cosmetic damage and some gouges. So they're going to take those countertops off, take them back to their shop, laminate them so they will be a much tougher surface, and bring them back. So that was all included in the price.
Okay. Is there any motion for this work?
So moved.
I'll second that. And just to note, Mary, that the committee is recommending that we use this out of our capital improvement fund, because that's basically what this is. This is improving, and we are replacing some of the existing materials.
Okay, and the total cost is $3,976.28.
Yeah.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, the motion carries. What's next?
All right, next we have lawn maintenance. This was a topic brought up from Marty. He gave us a quote from Lawn Masters Treat the Lawn. With the War Memorial project starting, the committee decided to hold, not taking the action on this at the moment, so nothing to do there. We covered the printer for Susan's office. And then, so the next thing is the AC unit in the Lister's office. So I had Bernie Valenti, who's an approved vendor, who's done several other things around here, come and said it would cost, he said no more than $550 to remove the AC unit, repair the wall, replace the siding, and prep it for painting.
Is there a motion?
I'll move that we accept Bernie's price of $550 to do the work outlined.
I'll second the motion.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
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 I'm only hearing 2 votes.
Well, I'll vote aye, but I can't. Is there anyone opposed? So the ayes carry it.
All right.
Okay.
So then that would bring up the bid from for the painting of the various surfaces around the room. What the other part that includes also for the painting is the Lister's office. When it was done, there's 2 or possibly 3 different colors of paint that was used by the last contractor that did it. So we're going to fix that as well.
I make a motion, we accept Racine Painting's offer of as bid.
Yeah, because it was sort of cumulative, 900 plus 225 plus 225 plus 250 plus 180.
It's 1780, and actually some of it may be less than that because some of the ceilings were not originally painted. So if they weren't originally painted, we may not need to do those right now. So we might be able to reduce that a little bit as well.
Okay. So motion to accept Racine not to exceed, what was the number?
1780. Yep.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Anyone, I'll vote aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
So Mary, just for a quick number, the maintenance things within the building, the water line, Bernie doing the work and the painting and the lighting, that comes to approximately $58.75.
Okay, thank you.
Just, and we do have plenty the funds to cover all that.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, the next topic was the items for the boardroom to be able to continue to hold effective Zoom meetings if and when we return to in-person meetings. So I spent some time working with our vendor from Vermont Digital, discussing what we should have in there. It would involve the purchase of a proper camera for the conference room that would work well with Zoom and digital meetings, a screen for the back of the room to allow everybody to see the participants, effective audio equipment. So just a variety of things that all brought together. You have the list there for the board members. So it comes to approximately $2,400 for all the equipment. There would be a computer dedicated for that. That would be in the back corner. I do have a proper cabinet for that as well. There would need to be some labor from Vermont Digital, but we have more than enough in computer service to cover that. So this would allow us to
Move to approve.
Thank you, JP. Is there a second?
You just go
second.
talk and
Second
tech
motion.
talk and you can't keep up with them.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Don, you're a second. You probably didn't know that, but there you go.
Well, I did. Yes, I did.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
This is a good move, and
Yeah,
regardless of COVID, this is a good move for the town to encourage participation.
I've seen other towns do it and it's really very spiffy. So yes. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you.
All right, and by the
anything
time
else?
we got to the last topic of remodeling downstairs, they were ready to stop. So they're going to reconvene in about a month to get a status on the projects we've talked about, and that's when we'll bring up the downstairs project, since we have the funds that were approved for July. So we'll be able to start working on some requests for that.
Okay. Nice work, building committee.
It was a lot of fun.
I bet it was.
I was getting caught up, Mary, and we were getting behind, but we're figuring things out, so that's a good plan.
Yeah, I mean, well, no one was in the building for quite a while here, or the
Yeah.
public wasn't, so. Okay, onward to Water and Sewer Committee. We had.
You gonna give us the overview, Mary?
Well, I don't know. JP will probably cut me off with a motion, but let me give it a try. We met on Wednesday. This was Don Chaffee, myself, Joe DiNardo, Byron Hathaway, Howard Burgess, and Bill Sweet. And let's see, Byron reported on a couple of manholes that needed some repair work, and he will be working on those. One is on Cold River Road. He is looking for one in Flory Heights and expects to know where it is. And there is a manhole at the end of Ranbury Road, which has water leaking. So he's also going to repair that and has the permission to do the maintenance work on it. We had asked him about the status of the inventory of manholes, and he is, once he finds the Flory Heights one, we will have a complete inventory done. There also is a manhole off Seward Road that had holes drilled in the cover, but it is not taking on groundwater, but that cover will be replaced. And Byron did survey the manhole under the railroad tracks near Quality Lane using a remote camera. And thank goodness there are no signs of collapse there. So that is good news. And at the present time, the railroad is not using the section of track that is the subject of our lawsuit with them. They have a derailing device in place. We agreed not to take any action this time on the Rutland City, Rutland Town water sewer contracts. And I still need to work on the sewer discharge allocation for the East Asia Cuisine restaurant. There's a very thick document sitting on my desk. Let's see. So the Ranbury Road, extension of the water line from Ranbury Road to Farrell Road was something that we had brought up. Of course, we extended the water line down Ranbury Road. But Bill is going to connect with Robert Clerk from Otter Creek Engineering to see if there are options. Thinking ahead to if we do receive some of the CARES Act or whatever it's called now, COVID relief money, this may be something we would look at. But no action is proposed at this time. So we did look at the water ordinance and the use of city sewerage ordinance. And we, Bill and I got on the phone with our town attorney, Kevin Brown. And first question is, do we need a water ordinance? And the answer is yes, probably, in order to be able to collect the O&M fees. And we also talked about adding a section that would have hookup fees and some reporting, so we would know when a new user has come on the system. And so we would be able to begin collecting the O&M fees. Right now, there's no requirement for notification, and we do want to know who is using the water, even though it's city water. We need to be able to collect the fees to maintain the pipeline. We spent some time looking at unused and underused sewer discharge allocations, and also back sewer bills and sewer overage use. And Bill reported earlier that he had sent out some letters that we discussed and authorized him to go ahead and just reminding businesses, or mostly businesses, that they were over on their allocation. So the Rutland City water and sewer billing continues to be a difficulty. You'll recall that we used to do it, and we would take the numbers from the city, we would add our O&M charge, and then we would physically generate the water sewer bills and collect the money and then pass to the city their share. When the city moved to Fathom, their agent and contractor, they took over all of that work from us. And then Fathom went bankrupt. There were two other companies that came in to do it. And as a result, there is confusion, and there are businesses which are not being billed, and we think some that are. And we are uncertain what the status is of our O&M and whether we have been paid adequately. So Bill and I, at the committee's suggestion, got on the phone with our town attorney, discussed the issue. And Bill has made several requests from, I think, the city treasurer to get the correct numbers, to get an accounting, so we would all understand just where these numbers were. And he has not been successful. So Kevin agreed to kind of go up the next step, just to put a call into the city attorney and have this discussion. And also, since it's a relatively new city attorney, to fill him in on the background between the city and the town on these water and sewer charges. So we're hoping to get an accounting from the city going through the attorney for the city and the town. Nothing further on that, we're trying to figure out whether we ultimately want to take back over that work, or whether, and we can't really do that until we understand who has paid and who has not paid, and what the city owes us,
Mary?
we might owe the city. Done.
Yeah, I think it's important to add that in that discussion that Bill brought up the very important point that he's made it very clear to the city people that it's actually impossible for us to properly pay the bills unless we know what the numbers are.
Right.
And so were there being any disputes, that he would have to, and we would have to have that financial information, that billing information. So until they do it, I guess that kind of covers us, really. And that was a good move on Bill's part, really.
Yeah, and our attorney will now try and get the information that Bill has been trying to get, so we can maybe answer those questions. Okay, we also discussed the potential reopening at some point of Ground Round, and knowing that there was a sewer line and grease issues in the past. We further explored with Kevin Brown when Bill and I called him what should occur there. Actually, I think what Bill did was draft, and is it in your packet? Yes, it is. In your packet is the letter that Bill drafted at the request of the Water Sewer Committee, and it asks for identification, and then it reaffirms that there are certain conditions and upkeep agreements that were to occur on that sewer line. So the letter outlines those. And thank you to Bill for getting that letter prepared. We wanted to make sure you knew that in case you got some questions about it, but this is trying to hold Ground Round to the maintenance agreement that they agreed to some number of years ago.
So that letter was is at this point just a draft. It has not been sent. So
okay,
we wanted to discuss that one, and the one for the graphic edge we wanted to hold for this meeting to discuss.
Okay.
So that's why they're actually dated for tomorrow in anticipation of that.
Very good. So you have those letters in front of you. It's number 6 is graphic edge, and then Ground Round is the one right next to it. Any questions or comments about either of those two drafts, or are we ready to send them out?
You need a motion, Mary?
Well, we are sending it on behalf of the town select board, so I'd entertain a motion, sure.
I'll make a motion that we send the letter to Graphic Edge and Ground Round as written and outlining our concerns.
Okay. Is there a
I'll
second?
second that motion.
Thank you, Don. Okay. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, sending those 2 letters, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, anything else, Bill, from Water Sewer?
I think that was it. Yep, that covers it.
That was another good bit of work too, so.
Yeah, you know, Mary, I just want to say this, and I wanted to be on the record that I don't remember if it was the last meeting or 2 meetings ago, the folks from Diamond Run promised us that they would send us the back owed money, and that it was just address corrections and, you know, misoversight. And as of our meeting, that money had not been paid.
That's right. Thank you, Joe.
So I reached out to Michael Sternberg yesterday on that topic specifically. He responded a short while later, says, "Thank you for reaching out. The bills are with the ownership group now for review and payment. When I have an update, I will let you know the second I do."
That sounds like the same thing he told us last time.
Kind of.
Bears a striking resemblance.
Okay. All right. So now on to the Highway Committee. Who's reporting for Highway?
I guess I'll do this. Is that okay with you, Sharon?
Sure.
Okay, so Sharon, Byron and I met on April 8th. We went over some of the stuff we've already discussed, the tree cutting next door at the cemetery, and the contract for the paving. The big item that we have to, or I would like to do tonight, is pick a contractor for the replacement of the Gleason Road culvert. We had 4 bids, Fabian Earth Moving at $68,610, Mendon Trucking and Excavating at $38,000, KT Hathaway LLC bid at $54,500, and Belden Construction LLC bid at $48,000. I asked Byron, you know, if he had any concerns about any of the 4 contractors. He did not. Sharon and I discussed this between us, and we decided to recommend to the full board that we accept the bid of $38,000 from Menden Trucking and Excavating. And this is for the installation of the contract as per Byron specifications. The purchase, if you read number E, the culvert itself is purchased by the town.
Okay. So I'll treat that as a motion to accept the Menden Trucking and Excavating bid at $38,000. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Sharon. Any discussion? If not,
And this work,
Oh.
just to let you know, Mary, this work will take place, I believe Byron said, late summer, and that's part of the permitting process when they'll allow him in the brook.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Sharon?
I said aye.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you do cut out when somebody else votes, so I'm not being rude, I just didn't hear you. So, and I'll vote aye, so the motion carries. Anything else from Highway Committee?
Just a couple quick things. Byron will be adding Crosman Drive and Heather Lane to the paving list. That's going to fit in, and it will not exceed our budget. We discussed the God blessed guardrail in depth, and we discussed it some more tonight, and we're still nowhere. The winter maintenance, we came out a little ahead on that due to, whatever we had for a meeting or winter. And the final thing that is out there, that the new F-550 Ford truck will be 2022 model. Just the way production is going, we'll get that after the new model year. I know the minutes say 20, but it'll be a 22. And
Okay.
that's what we did.
20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's the way it is. It's my first time of taking notes.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
you did a splendid job.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. It's been corrected.
Okay. Thank you, Joe, very much.
Yep.
So that takes care of all of our committee meetings. I'm going to jump over the project list just for a minute and go down under new business, which is the first one, update the project list. And we have done C, which is the flagging agreement with the railroad. We have done D, the pocket park survey bid. We have done RSVP MOU, which was item E. We have reviewed the paving contract, item F. Is there any other new business other than updating our project list? Okay. And down under old business, it doesn't look like any. We did A, again, we didn't take it off the table. The policy for signs on town-owned property can wait until closer to an election. Reclassify the section of Quarterline Road, that's just on hold. All right, so in maybe a few minutes, maybe not, you've met with several of your committees. Do we have projects that we want to post here? It's last year we called it the 2020 goals and focuses. What do we put on the list for 2021? Oh, I'll start with the pocket park and the shared use path.
And the Route 7 sidewalk.
Yep.
JP's sidewalk.
Yep. So the other things we had pending for that list was JP sidewalk and rooftop solar arrays.
The rooftop solar arrays came from a meeting when we found out we weren't going to be able to put the solar array in the capped landfill at Northfield. It wasn't economically feasible, so we were told. But we had, and I forget her name, she was an engineer from Green Mountain Power who said, you know, what you people should do is look around at town-owned buildings and see if you could put solar arrays on some of them, because that may give you the energy that you want. And so we haven't really pursued that. Should we put that on our list as something to look at this year?
I think so.
Okay.
JP, you want to get together at some point and discuss this? We're on the Energy Committee.
Sure.
Okay. We'll get
Okay.
moving forward with that again, Mary.
That's potentially a good project. The War Memorial at Town Hall is also left over from last year, and
Yeah, I think that, you brought up about getting something on the website of Facebook and seeing what the interest out there. And I think that's the way Don and I figured this is going to move forward. We got to get 8 to 10 people interested, and then we'll start meeting. Some of the thing holding this back, of course, is the COVID thing and getting people together and how we're going to do that. So maybe about midsummer, if the restrictions in the virus thing starts going away, we can have in-person meetings and make this work.
okay, good, yes. I think we all hope for that. So other committees that have met, anything in particular rise to the top of your list? Or department heads? Oh, sorry, the railroad lawsuit is still on the list. Oh, and also we should put on the list the lawsuit concerning the Center Rutland Fire Station, the items that weren't done or that caused problems, so.
Or the poorly done ones.
Yeah.
Where is, I don't want to drag this on too much. Do you know what the status of any of that is, Mary?
Well, I did ask Kevin, we're in discovery, so it's still a process at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be replacing that station before we get it resolved.
Speaking of stations, what do we do about McKinley? Should we put that on the list?
Yes.
It was there, wasn't it? I think, and again, I think this whole COVID thing where we're just being cautious and not meeting has interrupted the plans.
Yeah, I don't see McKinley, so let's put it on. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at the two different lists, the handwritten one and the other. I think we've touched on most of them, so. All right. Anything else that folks can think of?
Yeah, that sounds good. Mary, could we have Bill just include that list with our next packet, so we'll just have it in front of us?
Yeah. Bill, have you been scribbling notes as I've talked?
I have, yes.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else? Any other business to be brought before the board this evening?
Just one comment, Mary.
Yeah.
I would like to compliment you on your courtesy in asking John Paul if he wished to remain as town health officer. That was very nice. Thank you.
Gotcha, Don. Thank you. Point taken. Any other business to come before the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
There are about three
Beat
of
you to it.
Yeah. All right. Non-debatable. All in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye.